It's the bye week, so what's working and not working for the Green Bay Packers? We self-scout today.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why, and how. This episode brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Like our players, they sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling up the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights from this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda Move and Be Moved. Okay, so on the bye week, what teams generally do is they self-scout. Sometimes you have an offensive coach look at what the defense is doing, and a defensive coach look at what the offense is doing, and you try and figure out, okay, where is this team? How can they get better? I have said, and will continue to say, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. I believe that. We saw it through 2 weeks. And once you reach that point, once you show that, it's like in the college draft scouting evaluation world. Once you show that, it's then up to the coaches to pull that out of you, to coax that out of a team the rest of the way. So offensively, that's where this is the easiest. Because what they're doing well is throw the ball down the field. Throw the ball in the intermediate parts of the field. Jordan Love has been, I've said it once and I will say it again, a top 5 quarterback this year. Any way you want to split the stats, Jordan Love has been a top 5 quarterback this year. By some but not all measurements, leads the league in EPA per play. Sumer Sports has him leading the league in EPA per play. Other models have the adjusted EPA per play. He's at the top, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL this year. Been the most efficient intermediate thrower of the football this year. And has been one of the most aggressive. Now, last week and the week before, a little less aggressive because of where the offensive line is. The last few weeks, a little less aggressive, but when the offensive line was healthy the first 2 weeks of the season, one of the most aggressive downfield throwers in the NFL. Now, one place we would like to see some changes here at Locked On Packers is with Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden can play receiver. And he is not being allowed to fully embrace his receiver role because he's having to do gadget nonsense. The screens, the jet sweeps, that stuff. It's not what he does well. Now, I understand you want to limit the number of snaps Savion Williams is on the field because Matthew Golden is just a better football player. You look at all of the separation numbers. By separation score, the most open receiver in the NFL. By PFF's raw separation grade, the second most open receiver in the NFL. He is open all the time. So let him play receiver. Let him just go do the things he's good at. We were having the same conversation on this show in 2022, and I continue to believe that breakout game, much like Christian Watson's in 2022, is coming. I just thought it would have already happened already, given, frankly, just how good a coach Matt LaFleur is and the level that Jordan Love is playing at. Now, Romeo Doubs is still getting a lot of targets. Tucker Kraft is still getting a lot of targets, and those guys are good players. And we got the reporting from Jeremy Fowler that the Packers have broached the subject now of an extension with Romeo Doubs. Our pal Brandon Snyder over on the Locked On Packers squad show said he thinks it is imperative that they get a deal done with Romeo Doubs. I don't, but I understand that perspective. And so I just think this offense would benefit so much with Jordan Love playing at the level that he's playing. This play action game at the level that it is performing at. This is one of the top play action outfits in the NFL right now. They are leaning all the way in. And I have said, and will continue to say, that what happened last year was just Aaron Rodgers was hurt. For example, through 4 games, Jordan Love has 9 big-time throws through 4 games. He had 17 all of last season. Let's see, if there were 16 games, he'd be on pace for 36 big-time throws, which would be more than double, and that's not even including the extra game, which he may or may not play at this point. He was just hurt. That's what last year was. He was just hurt. Please let Love cook. Let Jordan Love cook. Now, again, offensively, one of the problems is this offensive line has not been healthy. Now, that's not a self-scout thing. That's not it's a scheme problem, or it's, this guy needs to be subbed out for this guy. No. The most frequently used offensive line combinations in the league. This is according to Rich Freebar. The Packers' most used offensive line combination is the one that started the game on Sunday. Now, part of that is they played probably 70 snaps together on Sunday. It's Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Jordan Morgan at left guard, Jenkins at center, Ryan at right guard, and Kennard at right tackle. That group has been used for almost 40% of snaps. The most used offensive line combo in the NFL, the top 2 are Atlanta and the Jets, and they have been used for over 99% of the snaps. You need your guys to be healthy. The Broncos have had 97% of snaps. The Lions have had 97% of snaps. The Steelers, the Chiefs, 96, 93. Like, you need that. The Packers have to get healthy. That's not, I don't think, revelatory analysis by any means. But Jordan Love from a clean pocket has been the best quarterback in the NFL this season. Let me repeat that. From a clean pocket by every metric we care about, every metric on planet Earth, Jordan Love has been the best quarterback in the NFL. When you protect Jordan Love, you get a top 5 producer. Whether you think he's a top 5 quarterback, look, that's about aesthetics. That's about play style. That's about a lot of different things. How much do you think Matt LaFleur is contributing? How much do you think the receivers are contributing? Now, personally, I just told you the offensive line is not cohesive. It's not been great. And the receivers, no one thinks these receivers are anything to write home about. So then you think Matt LaFleur is like the greatest coordinator since sliced bread? I mean, maybe you do think that. I doubt it, frankly. But maybe you do. He's been outstanding when you protect him. So protect him. But the blocking part of this is a run game problem too. When you look at, according to FTN charting, FTN Fantasy is this people now that do the Football Outsider stuff. Yards before contact. The qualifying player with the position player with the worst yards before contacts in the NFL is Matthew Golden. Not great. Not great. Jet sweeps, screenplays, those kinds of things. And then if you look at running backs, the 4th worst running back in yards per carry before contact is Josh Jacobs. And he's tied, by the way, tied for 3rd with Zach Charbonnet and James Conner. Zach Charbonnet's offensive line, cheeks. James Conner's offensive line, cheeks. Now it's interesting, Tyler Allgeier's on here, and that we think of that Atlanta offensive line as being pretty good. But Josh Jacobs needs some opportunities. Now he's doing the work after his yards per carry after the catch or after the touch is very good. By the way, also Matthew Golden, yards per carry after contact. He is the 3rd best position player in the NFL after contact. That is a very good kind of player. Josh Jacobs is 19th after contact. So you're getting good production from these guys, but you need the blocking to be better if you want to win consistently in the NFL. If you want to score points consistently in the NFL. And I know that this all seems a little crazy after the Packers just scored 40 points against the Dallas Cowboys. But if they get healthy, they're getting Christian Watson back maybe as soon as next week. Frankly, I would doubt it, but maybe he gets back in a limited capacity next week, and then you finally get him back the week after. Who knows when Jaden Reed is going to get back? But guys, this offense can be even better. Let's talk about the defense coming out of the bye week. That's next on Locked On Packers. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. There are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. When we show up as a community, it can mean big business for local business owners. Money spent in the neighborhood stays in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world, including a ton in Green Bay, in Milwaukee, and Wisconsin. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is about Jordan Love. 4 drives in the fourth quarter and overtime that either took the lead or tied the game. He was unbelievable against the Dallas Cowboys. One of his best games, if not his best game as a pro. The ending maybe takes the shine off it a little bit, and maybe that's why. It might not be, but he was overall incredible. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Defensively for the Packers, one game moved them from 3rd in EPA per play to 16th in EPA per play. That is wild. It is wild that one game could have that sort of impact. Now, when you look at some of the situational stats can be not very sticky, frankly. The Packers are middle of the pack defensively in red zone efficiency. Situationally, you'd like to be a little bit better, but those things can be highly variable. We're talking about a very small sample size. Now, the problem for the Packers is their red zone defense has faced a lot of trips. And so if you can't buckle down, you're dealing with a problem. Now, part of that is because the Packers have had a lot of leads in these games, and so teams have been in passing situations, they've moved the ball. Very few teams in the NFL have faced more total attempts than the Green Bay Packers this year. And so some of those total numbers are going to be skewed as a result. The Packers are allowing just 57% completion percentage in the red zone. That's really good work. But you look at like Philly, well, they're allowing 30%. A lot of the Philly stuff is totally unsustainable. I think if anything, the Packers are going to kind of maintain the numbers that they are doing, and the people that are having, the 30s, the low 40% completion percentage in the red zone over the course of the season, that stuff is going to even out. Let me just give you an example here. Last year, so in 2024, the team with the best red zone completion percentage, there was only one team with a red zone completion percentage below 40%, and it was the Lions. The sixth best team was the Washington Commanders. They had a 50% completion percentage in the red zone. So these are highly variable things for any team. I think the Packers will probably come back to earth a little bit, and ultimately, given the amount of pressure that they can put on quarterbacks, they're going to be fine. Micah Parsons leads the NFL in in pressures, not sacks, specifically not sacks. It doesn't matter who charts them. Pressures is one of those, like, of the stats that we care about, that we talk about a lot. It is by far the most subjective of the stats, because you might have a different opinion of what a pressure is than I do. It's not like a catch, where like a catch is a catch. A rush is a rush. A completion is a completion. We know that. It is statistically objective. A pressure is not. Micah Parsons leads the NFL basically no matter where you look. So that part is great. You lose the top interior pressure creator in the NFL through 3 weeks in Devontae Wyatt. Matt LaFleur says he is week to week. And so where do you turn? Carl Brooks had a handful of pressures, 5 according to Pro Football Focus charting, against the Cowboys. No one else really did. Rashawn Gary, you need to do more in these games. Lucas Van Ness, he had a couple of them. Had an opportunity to sack fumble twice, couldn't complete it. So did Micah. The difference between Sunday and everything else. So I have said I don't think what happened against the Cowboys is a big deal in terms of the sustainability of it. But what happened was, the biggest thing to me was Dak going nuclear. But it was a lot of underneath. And the underneath turned into missed tackles. And that's just like, that's something that you do have to get cleaned up. Now, the Packers have faced one of the lowest attempts down the field in the NFL this season. And that's because they can rush the passer so well. They have the 8th fewest attempts. Guess what? They have the 2nd fewest completions of deep passes. So this idea that, you know, the Packers corners are a big problem for them, they're not really. They're not. And so when that's true, I think that it is imperative that we understand what happened with Dak Prescott was about the quarterback just going absolutely God mode, put in whatever cheat code that he typed in that I used to put into my, Doom CPU. And now that's how he played quarterback. Most people are not going to be able to do that. Most quarterbacks, maybe no quarterbacks, are going to play as well against the Packers the rest of the way as Dak Prescott. And if a quarterback does, they probably deserve to win, frankly. That's how good he was. I just don't think it's that big of a problem because of just like how terrific I thought Dak Prescott was. The Packers actually have the 12th most pressures in the NFL this year as charted by FTN Fantasy. And, that's a nice number, but like the Falcons have a higher number. The Commanders have a higher number. You need to get with this group, with what we've seen, you need to do a little bit better. Now, this is something that you need to turn those pressures into sacks. Like in terms of turning pressures into sacks by adjusted sack percentage, the Packers have just not been good enough. They're 20th in adjusted sack percentage. So that's intentional groundings. You take those out. So how often are you creating sacks per pass attempt? You're creating a lot of pressures, but you're not creating enough sacks right now. Packers are 7th in sacks, but the opportunities, there's a ton of attempts happening against them because everyone's trying to pass to catch up. And so they need to finish more of these plays. And that will change what happens. Now, their ability to create that is terrific to create those pressures. They are 13th right now in clean pocket percentage. 63% of their attempts against are clean pockets. But again, some of these teams that are ahead of them, Atlanta, Washington, the Packers have better fronts than these teams. You have to be able to get more production there, and then it can create more turnovers for you, because that's what you need. You need to be able to have the pressures to create the turnovers for you. The turnovers are essential. Now, we've talked enough about special teams. Let's just take a big picture look at the Green Bay Packers coming out of the bye. That's next on Locked On Packers.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So, let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
We talked on the Locked On Packers squad show the other night about this team being a Super Bowl contender. To me, nothing has changed about the expectations for this Green Bay Packers team. The expectation is still that they are going to compete for a Super Bowl, period, end of story. They are talented enough. We saw them in the first two games. Now, whether or not those games are ultimately going to be the exception versus the rule, we will find out. I am not someone who believes that Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat. I certainly don't believe that Brian Gutekunst is on the hot seat, and I do think it is in that order if someone is. If the Packers come up short this year, it will not be because Brian Gutekunst did not do enough. It will be because Matt LaFleur did not do enough. Just like 2020, just like 2021, frankly. But this team is good enough. This team is good enough to go win a Super Bowl. What I want to see is a mentality difference. Go out every week like the 2007 Patriots, like the 2020 Packers. And by the way, that was a Matt LaFleur coach team, so it can't just be Matt LaFleur. Oh, Matt LaFleur, he's soft. I hear this all the time. Oh, he's not the right guy for this. We saw them do it. We saw them try and get 40 on everybody in 2020. This team is capable of doing that. It's about being able to bring it every single week. And I continue to believe that part of the problem, such that there is a problem, is that this is a young team, and young teams generally are better as chasers. They're better proving people wrong, going, we're going to go get that. We're going to go show everybody. We're pushing toward being this thing, versus a team where everyone says they're going to win the Super Bowl. Because when Micah Parsons happened and they beat the Lions week 1, what did everyone in the national media say? This team is a wagon. They are going to the Super Bowl. Now, what did I say? Yeah, this team is a wagon and they're going to the Super Bowl. Well, okay. What I said was they proved what they needed to prove was they can win a big game. And clearly, they followed it up by winning another big game. Then against a Browns team that is not as good, they didn't. As heavy favorites. Then they go to Dallas as clear favorites. And I wouldn't say they laid an egg, but they didn't play to their full potential in Dallas. They could have scored 50, and the special teams could have been better, obviously, and the defense could have been better. They could easily be 4-0. How would we feel differently if the two kicks don't get blocked? Well, they did, but let's just say they'd still be I firmly believe they would still be the favorites. So there are these two aberrational type things. Like the odds of that happening in a playoff game are low. That being said, I remember 2021. I was there. I still hear it from opposing fans about the way that I handled that post game. There's a weird narrative about like what happened and what I did, and a lot of it is that things that I did not do. People acted like I was like sobbing on live TV. That is not what happened. You can go back and watch. Very much not what happened. I was frustrated. And what I said was that all of the criticisms you want to level on Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers in that moment were true. And that was true. And that continues to be true. Matt LaFleur is going to have to prove this. This team is going to have to prove this. But they're good enough to do it. They are good enough to do it. And this has always been the discussion that we've had around Jordan Love. Should they have drafted Jordan Love? Oh, T. Higgins, like they would have won with T. Higgins. Maybe they would have won with T. Higgins. That 2020 team was good enough. They didn't play well enough. The 2021 team was good enough. They didn't play well enough. This team, this 2025 team is good enough. Look at the Eagles. They're not world beaters. We already saw them beat the Lions. They're not world beaters. The Buccaneers are lucky they're not winless. They're not world beaters. The Rams, there's multiple games they could have lost, and they did lose the Eagles game in inglorious fashion, much like the Packers lost the Browns game. And I understand the Browns and the Eagles are two different teams, but like still a blocked kick cost the Eagles or cost the Rams the game. The block kick cost the Browns the game. Why are they that different? This Packers team is good enough. The Ravens kind of stink. The Chiefs don't look like the Chiefs. Who in the AFC are you scared of? This Packers team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. They're 13.5-point home favorites over the Bengals on Sunday. Go prove you can be a heavy favorite and act like one. Kick the ever-loving crap out of a team. I joked, the Lions love to run the score up on bad teams. I did mean it as a criticism that they are front runners, that they never do that against a really good team. The Packers, we've seen them do it against really good teams, the Cowboys in the playoffs being the prime example. But can you do it to a bad team? Can you do what you did to the Cardinals last year early in the season when Jordan Love, by the way, was at his healthiest? They have the Cardinals to do that. They have the Bengals to do that against. They have some games up here. Like they rightfully should not lose in October. Bengals, Cardinals, and the fraudulent as hell Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, I understand that piece of it. That's a complicating factor in some ways, but from a talent standpoint, that Steelers team is just kind of meh. They're 3-1 because they played some dog teams. They got wildly lucky. Now maybe they'll get lucky against the Packers too, but I doubt it. I doubt it. This Packers team should be 5-2-1 against the Eagles at Lambeau Field in November. The Eagles might be undefeated at that point. And I'm telling you right now, if the Packers are 5-2-1 against that Eagles team, regardless of the Eagles record, I'm going to pick the Packers because I think they are better than this Eagles team. Period. We'll see if they prove me right. We'll be back next week. Much more coming as we get you back to actual football, out of the bye week, into the game flow, back to our normal schedule with the crossovers, with Lily Zhao, with all the good stuff next week. coming up on Locked On Packers. Follow me on the social medias, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on the Twitters, on the Blue Skies, on the Instagrams, on the TikToks, all that good stuff. Subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, but definitely on YouTube. We're live on YouTube after the games. No live show this weekend. We will still have a podcast, of course, in your feed on Monday, but we won't be live on Sunday. We will be live on Wednesday. And moving forward all year, 7 o'clock Central Wednesdays will be the squad show. It used to be 7:15. It is now 7 Central, 7 Lambeau time, so you can stay locked on Packers.